Alrighty, let me just check really quick that I am good. I think I am. Just making sure. Yeah, there we go. So I'm all good in terms of recording. So, anyways, this is a video in response to well, DPS and DPS questions, which is really exciting and weird because I used to be a DPS main a lot of time ago, and it was a very different world back then. So relearning, not only recontextualizing myself with DPS is going to be very interesting, just because I've been a support player for so long, and I've sort of accustomed myself to thinking in different ways. So I have some Discord messages here from the player in question. Um, and I just want to, so we have specific spots that it seems that we want to go over. Let's see, I can make to the VOD reveal yesterday, but I watched the Twitch VOD and saw some mistakes from me, and I guess some things that I should have done and or to work on and stuff. So I'll just drop them here in the DM, so whenever you're here and have time, you can correct me on stuff I put in my notes about my play. So definitely already really good showing, because I like the fact that you can watch and find value from watching your own gameplay, which is really good too. So we have a couple of things here. We have King's Row attack, second point, Anubis defense, and first and second point notes, and a watch point attack. So, oh, and extra thoughts. You can play a lot of projectile too. Um, that's very good. Um, so yeah, I think that's good. So let's find these VODs really quick. Oh, and I have to make sure I'm actually recording the right thing. Yes, okay, I think I am. Alrighty, so I think the first one was a King's Row. So yeah, King's Row attack, second point, I have that VOD. Very good. Maybe, maybe. We'll see.
Now
I think this
entering
might be our
King's
King's
Row.
Row defense?
Ready for battle.
No, okay, so this is our attack. Very good. So, watching from the perspective of the player in question,
Ready for
Mercy
battle.
main. So on the Mei. So Mei is a crazy, in-depth, sort of interesting character to go with or to play. But fortunately, our comp makes it pretty easy to work with and understand our role. So something big, I guess, that I want to touch on early is sort of understanding your role on DPS and understanding at least the role that you play in your comp, which will influence, like answering that will help you sort of contextualize areas of the map. Like, should I always be taking high ground? Should I be pushing on the flanks a lot? Or should I just be playing with my team main? Like, should I be even staying back with my supports to watch and peel for them? Like, your role is very flexible on DPS, which I think is really cool. I thought I saw something disappear. Anyway, um, so yeah, because your role is so flexible, um, having an understanding of your character and what role they play in the composition is kind of paramount. So you're Mei, and that's really cool. So what does this mean? You have your, oh, and I guess another thing to talk about as well is just some basic mechanics. Really watching your cooldowns. So when I watch my own gameplay, I'm very critical of my cooldown usage because that's something I've wanted to improve on for quite a while now. Trying to find the maximum value out of my cooldowns and knowing when to use them, and especially my ultimate as well. So a little bit of that as well. So knowing your role is really big. Having that game knowledge, that game sense even. Um, whatchamacallit, what did I just say? I forgot. Knowing how to use your cooldowns and ultimates, that was it. And finally, I had one last thing to say that I may have forgotten, trying to remember that. Um, I'll
4,
remember it soon.
3,
So, Mei. You are Mei in Rhine Zarya, Kree,
2,
Ana, Brig,
1.
which, if this comp says anything, it is Brawl. Brawl, we want to engage from a short to mid range, and one thing we don't like is poke in getting getting poked at from multiple angles. So what can we do for our team to sort of mitigate this? Well, as May, a lot of the time you find value from being near your Reinhardt. So, kind of like even where you are now here in the spawn room, being near your Reinhardt, freezing people in the front line who can potentially die, but your right click projectiles are also really good for zoning out people on high grounds, which is a big part of Poke's downfall. Because I'll just draw it out really quick. Um, let's pretend that we are engaging. Oh, I need to choose a thicker pen size for this. Down main, and then let's say we go this way and go onto point. So maybe the enemy has a front line, like their Rhine over here. But maybe they also have enemies posted up one here, and one here, and I don't know, one here. Basically on high grounds where they can surround and fire on our poke composition. That unfortunately is not very good for us. Or is not very good for us. I didn't mean to use a double negative there. Um, that is that is usually where poke comps fall apart when they get poked from different angles. We like to have everybody in front of us. So your job as Mei is to help keep that by walling or by using your wall and your right clicks to zone out people on the high ground. So just pressuring them when you can, drawing a big old wall and these chokes. Usually another one is like here or something like that to remove their front line. So let's continue and see how we do.
Attackers incoming. Defend
So we
objective
know now
A.
that they have an Ana and a Reinhardt just by watching the cooldowns that came in. Let's see. So right now we see that their Reinhardt is in choke, and I don't know if he communicated this or if he saw it. Let's watch from your POV. So yes, a good wall here. They can really do nothing against it. I thought I would have thought that their Doomfist would try to land a punch, but maybe he got stunned. So either way, this is a really good first pick. They are down their Reinhardt, and well, let's think about the situation. So we've just used wall. We have no need to ice block yet, um, and our team is going to want to push onto the point. So it's sort of raising this. So awareness is another big thing that I want to sort of raise towards the other members of your team, not just yourself. So sort of knowing a little bit about what the team is planning. And it's always good to ask them at the beginning of fights, like either where are we going or what do we think we should do, so that you can influence, well, your positioning can be influenced and your playstyle can be influenced by your team's decision. So, what can we predict from this situation? Well, we just dealt with their Reinhardt, and the players that they have left are, well, surprise, surprise, on the high ground. Have one over here, and Doomfist and Lucia are inevitably going to retreat, probably somewhere to the high ground. Like I can expect Lucio to go either around here, if he makes it, over here, and Doomfist will probably retreat this high ground as well. But there is a Sigma on point. So, Sigma, if we know one thing about Sigma, what are his cooldowns? What's he got? So he has his rock, and he has his kinetic grasp, and a shield, which are all pretty okay at keeping people sort of away from him. But he's really not good at backing up. He doesn't have a movement cooldown, nothing to escape. So it's more than likely that our tanks are going to really hard push this Sigma, and they want to push him back in choke. However, if we are pushing their front line, so getting on point, pushing their front line on or out main, well, unfortunately, this leaves us vulnerable to sort of our potential loss condition as poke, which was again ignoring people or getting picked off by the folks on the high grounds, which is soon to be him and him as well. So I would like to see how we deal with this from here. So let's see, where is our attention right now? So we're focused on sort of pushing these fellas out back main. Yes, okay. So I would have liked it if our attention was there sooner, because, I mean, Sig Shield, we can all break it, but honestly, we're gonna end up pushing past his shield anyway, just because we're Rein Zarya, and that's what they want to do. They want to get close to swing and beam him down, so his shield is almost irrelevant for the most part. What matters is that we don't let ourselves get picked off, that we don't lose key players, kind of like our Ana or Yu or our McCree. So fortunately, our McCree pulls a nice read on Doomfist on the side, but you should be wary of these high grounds, which you currently are. So yeah, really, I would argue that it's no use shooting the Sigma shield if it's up. We just have to be watching the high grounds and peppering the shield only if there's nothing else to do. So one thing I really recommend is trying to be like, become the chameleon, as I like to say, which is basically like a lot of the times, especially on DPS, because it's such an aim-intensive role, we tend to not look at the other real estate on our screen besides like a very near area like maybe like here is where a lot of my attention is on DPS or where it was. But that excludes the whole area all out here. So being the chameleon to me means sort of like being whatchamacallit, ready to, or like not just staring at your crosshair, but using your peripheral vision, that's what I'm trying to say, to check the high grounds here, here, and the window that is, well, a little to the left over there. But yeah, using your peripherals, using audio cues, all of these will make you a much more aware player. Let's see, so Ashe is free firing on us, which is annoying. Ice block, and again, so as we ice block, we can sort of recontextualize the fight. Let's see. The wall wasn't super necessary. Um, yeah, I guess it was just to try and keep the Sigma in, but he was so low that he would have tried to leave anyway. And if you notice, both of their supports are over here. So, I mean, it's not an evaluation I would normally make, but if Sigma wants to back off, and I know that his Ana is over top here, well, she's going to have to run and leave the point to try and heal him, or put herself in a position that's easy for us to get to. Those are her two only choices. Also, nice purple ice spray. That's cool, I've never noticed that. So basically, yeah, walling the Sigma wasn't really it didn't get a lot of value out of the wall. I would have saved it for when Ryan comes back, if he comes back, or if he makes it in time, or to shut down these two up here for a little bit. Still, I would prefer pressuring them out with your icicles or killing them. Let's see. So one thing I see here is I see that you want to go aggressive a little bit. So we do have a lot of fun things with aggression on our team. Like our Brig really likes to push forward a lot, and that's awesome. But it's not so awesome when they find themselves out of position and then we're down a healer. And I don't want the same thing to happen here. So you should. So we know that the Ashe died up top. But who else was up there? There were two other people, right? Well, Lucio, who's currently getting dealt with, we can say is as good as dead if he doesn't get out. So we killed Ashe. Lucio is as good as dead right now, but their Ana is still up top. And we have to be very, very mindful of Ana's nade. I try to give my opponents respect, because if we don't, then, well, she could nade us, and if their team has the right resources up, they could potentially wipe us from point because we cannot heal physically. And because we don't have our wall, whatchamacallit, this situation could spell sort of doom. So I think you should be checking the high ground more and sort of anticipating these engagements from the enemy. Because as you can see, you're going for some icicles here, which are probably mostly into a Rhine shield. Meanwhile, the Ana sort of had her moment in the sun. And even though it wasn't big and it didn't amount to much, it could have been worse. Also, that wall, we should just save them probably. So, or save them until our Rhine can engage safely on them. Let's keep watching. There's a Tracer in the back. I appreciate watching the flank. One thing here is a little micro note into Tracer. You will probably never freeze Tracer. So just right clicking her is probably more useful. Let's see. So as a DPS, what can we do here? So you've actually got an interesting sort of role on the Mei, kind of like our main support Brigida. So you guys both have to know where you want to play. A lot of times, Mei will want to play with the front line and do her thing, but we also should be wary of sort of the flank. So I guess that's more of our Brig's job, but our Brig likes to push a lot. Where was I going with that? I forgot. It was something not too important though. Let's see. I foresee a wall in their near future. So potentially, because they're running an Ana, like she can't heal through wall. At most, she can try and nade the wall above, or nade like the side above the wall to heal with Lucio healing up top. But if we were to wall one, even two of their tanks here, that would be ideal. But that's only if, like, notice where the cart is as well. So I think we should only even bother peeking them. Like, we shouldn't even take a fight, I don't think, if we don't absolutely have to, because our Ana is alone on cart here, and our Brig isn't with her. So I think, I mean, if we do want to win this fight and we do want to play in it, nice watching the flanks, that's good awareness. Yeah, if we do want to win this, then we all have to commit. But it's hard when there's a Tracer on the flank, and, well, she's currently being sort of uncontested. Our Rhine dies, and essentially it's just an issue of not knowing what kind of fight we wanted to take. Oh my, hello, Kaiju's shield. I think a wall to disengage would have been better here, so that we're not taking free fire from our opponents. So instead of trying to wall off the hit scan and stuff like that, well, their Sigma and their Tracer and Rhine are pretty good at poking us, even Lucio too, as we go through this enclosed space to go out and retreat. So I think a wall probably here or something might have been a bit more effective in guarding ourselves. So I guess my tip for wall right now is knowing what we want to achieve with the wall. So if our Rhine is alive and if our Brawl tanks are alive and we're within distance of the enemy, we can probably wall to try and disable their Reinhardt or to try and focus their Reinhardt really quick. But otherwise, we should look to use it only if we have to either isolate enemies or to stop them from peeking. So we've got a bunch of ults right now. We're engaging, unfortunately, without our McCree, which is not ideal. Let's see, it's a nice ice block for Flux. And this fight is basically chaos. We are positioned really interestingly. Now our two brawlers are out main while four of us are in back. Let's see, so, oh, I totally disregarded the, your notes. So this probably isn't exactly what you're looking for, so I'll speed it up until we get to that point. So choke fight when Sigma was up top. Let's see, so let's read the annotation or the note for that time. So King's Row attack, second point, choke fight when Sigma was up top. So Maywall could reach that height, by the way. I actually didn't know that. It's not uncommon that I see Maze on this map, but it's usually uncommon that my team wants to wall up here for whatever reason. But that's interesting. That's good food for thought. In general, though, I recommend not, so you can save your cooldowns to even trap the Sigma. So what I would have liked to see, well, let's just speed up the fight to get to that situation. So blah 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 blah. Yeah, what I would have liked to see is more focus from our team and more decisiveness in knowing that we want the Sigma dead. So it's after this fight, I think, or after the Sigma gets killed and respawns. Please excuse me, I'm sorry. I was sipping just because I have a match later today and I need to caffeinate myself slightly. Oh, that's not a good. It was a good thought on the wall, but she blocked her own Ryan's shatter. That's unlucky. I like this from you here, harassing their Mei, which is pretty good. But again, our team's focus is still a little bit all over the place. Something I noticed about their Ana is that she likes to isolate herself for a lot of weird plays and flanks when she gets pressured, which leaves their front line vulnerable. So, um, I guess, however, if you notice patterns like those in mid game, please feel free to take advantage of them. So yeah, the Sigma is up here. This is the situation that we are watching for. The situation that I completely forgot about. Let's see. Oh wait, never mind. Hey, that was pretty nice. So there it was.
Weak. The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Let's see. Wait. Oh, we probably got wiped here and then started getting held up here. Okay, that makes sense. So, come on, Sigma. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I like this wall. This puts a lot of pressure on them. Oh, that even could have gotten the Sigma. It's nice. Alrighty, here it is. Thank goodness. This is what we are here to see. So, yeah, this is an interesting strategic sort of route. So, let's see. May Valkyrie to height, by the way. I just want to let the team know because I walled myself up in that angle before and contested Sig, but he rocked me down. So, um, as a note, I don't know if that super matters. Um, my thoughts on this situation are that we as a team wait for our respawn, so we should ideally start out from over on the left side until we're fully stacked and ready to go. I think we either go in through left side or we go main, pressure the Rhine a little bit, and disengage to go upstairs and pressure this Sigma. In the end, I just want the Sigma gone from high ground, because he is a big pain. Flux is an amazing, amazing ultimate, especially into a Brawl comp that wants to stay together so tight and close like we do, because we're Brawl. We're not Poke or anything like that. So, as such, we've got to get this guy. Because if we go on Rhine, well, what do we still have? We still have, and our team is like here. Well, Sigma can pressure us down and poke us from the high ground. Mei and Lucio are still left as well, so they are really annoying characters. And, well, you notice there's multiple angles of attack going into our poke comp, or into our brawl comp, which is, again, how we lose most often, or how we will most likely lose. So I don't think we should Maywall individually to pressure the Sigma up. I think, I mean, the most we can do is pressure his shield. So I want that Sigma down. Um, the most you can do is probably pressure and try to break his shield, and then look for either a whip shot or to just straight up pressure him off with damage. If not, pushing him from one of the sides here is probably our best option here. So that said, still do play this fairly well. Good recognition on the left side to see that these fellows were here. It's unfortunate that the fight goes the way it does, but you can see that, well, we tried to engage on different angles, two different angles of attack that we were getting attacked from, which is a big pain in the tail. So I think, yeah. So yeah, unless you're gonna coordinate something with the team, so like telling them to line up here and all go high ground on the Sigma. Unless you're going to coordinate that, walling yourself up there really I don't think has any value, because you're essentially using wall as like a movement cooldown, but really you could be using wall to trap the Reinhardt, trap them in here. Maybe even if we force the Sigma off high ground, well, he's going to want to go back main. You can wall him at this corner or something like that. So ultimately, I think there are better uses for wall, and it just came up to our team. It was sort of our team's doing that caused us not to be able to go there as we wanted
60
to.
seconds
So yeah, that was
remaining.
cool that you tried to go for it. It's unfortunate that we couldn't follow up. At the very least, I think you could ask your Brig, like if you have this idea in the fight. Like Brig whip shots really well, and she also is a pretty good. She's pretty good in the Sigma. So if you say, Brig, come with me, stand with me, and you wall, and then you and Brig are up here. Well, now Sigma is forced against his will to go high or to go low ground because he's probably been pushed off by your Brigida. So if you are gonna do something like that, obviously communication is key. Um, That said, I didn't hear the comms for this. I was just watching from above for the scrim. Chose not to join the Discord call. Let's see, because I want to see how we play in a vacuum, sort of. Nice isolation there.
30 seconds remaining.
And yeah, as we potentially close out this map, it's again interesting to think about your role in comparison to the other DPS. So, like, McCree has good stun. You have really good like CC and annoyingness for the front line. So I think you can prioritize the front line a lot. While McCree prioritizes things like the flanks and high ground. But you guys can both contest both. Well, you guys should both contest as much as you can. High grounds, flanks, etc. Be mindful, be watchful of it. But sort of knowing, checking over to see like what exactly the other one is doing, or having that coordination is really key. So Kenny is watching the front line, you're watching the front line. We could get flanked, and other things like that. So let's move on because I'm gonna try and target the points that you did in your notes. Anubis defense. Let's get that code. That is Anubis defense. Oh no. Alrighty, very good. So let's see the annotation
Now
for this
entering
one. So
territory
Anubis defense
awaits.
first point on the enemy push.
Ready for
First,
battle.
they first pushed through main. I should have been on the high ground. That was a mistake of me because they had a brawl comp and nobody contest me, to be honest. Yes. After winning that fight, I did set up on high ground-ish on their second push, but fell down way too quick and panic queued my tire in a blizzard. Big mistake, but I will try not to do that anymore. And for a second point, so we'll deal with that when we get there. Um, so yes, you were Junkrat here, which is super fun. So again,
Attackers
sort of,
incoming in
it's on
30
everybody to
seconds.
build this game knowledge, like to analyze our comp and like what are we good at doing, what are we not good at doing. We have no movement, like not even slightly a lot of movement. So we're gonna depend on setting up in places, like because we have Zenyatta instead of Lucio or something like that, or because we don't have more mobile tank line or stuff like that, we're not good at moving. So we're mostly going to rely up on setting up somewhere and staying there or trying to stay there and make the enemies come to us by being annoying. So yeah, this is a pretty interesting poke comp just because we have the Kree Junkrat as the DPS, which is super good. So yeah, Junkrat of course is really good at pressuring chokes like these. Fortunately, they actually ignore them. Um, and like when enemies have to walk through small areas, Junkrat is amazing. Let's see, so yeah, first push, or on the enemy's first push down main, so nobody could expect that because that was first fight. There was no sort of a thing here. So yeah, I think you could go, so yeah, good, you do go for the early trap placement. The only thing is that, well, putting yourself that close to the enemy means they probably hear that you have a Junkrat, if not blowing up the mine lets them know. So this gives them the information that, well, we probably can't push it through left because there's a Junkrat there. It'll be really hard and annoying. We should probably push through either main or right side top or something like that. So yes. See, so your note for this point was on the enemy's first push, you should have been on the high ground. Oh,
Attack
you
the
mean like the
frag
high
point.
ground. Okay.
Defend objective A.
So I think this is good so far. There's really no pressure for you to be particularly anywhere, and because you're Junkrat with the concussive mines, you can reposition anyway. So I think when the Mei walls you off, this is their cue that they are going to go either left or right side. So I think, well, to maximize your own information, you can walk left a little bit and just see what your Sigma's seeing pretty much. There you go. So you're going for it a little bit. They're going under bridge. I think because your trap was still up, you should have elected to go for a trap main. It's just a super small thing, but yeah, you could potentially trap one of the supports or one of them in choke and isolate them with that trap. Even if it is obvious that you placed it there, you don't know that their attention will be there necessarily, which is the funniest thing about Junkrat ever, because he's such a simple sort of hero with a simple funny kit, and he's an extremely funny hero because you just outplay people because their attention is not directed on the ground all the time or on where you are. So let's see. So how do we approach this fight? We do drop into the Mei. Yeah, sacrificing high ground or our position on the high ground here was not the play in my opinion. If anything, we maybe go bridge and pressure people from here, or we just stick with the Orisa. Oh my goodness, Overwatch is buffering. Hello. So yeah, um, let's see. Let's evaluate some positions where we could be. So again, like you see how their Rhine has to hold this corner because, well, there's a Baptiste poking him from here, and Orisa. You were once up here as well, like poking him, and as well. Oh, Kaiju's on it this time. Interesting. Um, and our Zen is holding the opposite high ground. So I think a really good rotation spot for you could have been up here, or up on this high ground, just because it's hard to see against a slight palette. You can pressure shield really easily. You can pressure the choke really easily, or the bridge. Pretty much you have good vantage point of everything, and no one on their team can reach you up there, which is really, really funny. You are a sort of low maintenance DPS at that point, so like maybe you need a Harmony Orb if you get damaged, you know? Yeah, so high ground is extremely good for Junkrat because you can actually choose when you want to peek. So how many enemies can I see right now? Well, now that I'm looking at the edge, like from the edge, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe 5 or 6 when they reveal themselves shortly. But if I'm taking too much poke damage or something like that, I pull myself back. How many enemies can I see now, like in my direct line of sight? None. And the enemies, unless they go high ground, cannot contest you. Also, Zen, or with his Harmony Orb, and your Baptiste with his Moon Shoes can spot you very easily. So yeah, I think dropping into their comp is kind of scary. I do like how you force or are trying to force out the flank here. Let's see. What was I gonna say? Yeah, fortunately the fight goes well, but we did surrender high ground a bit too soon. Um, I liked the fact that you whatchamacallit, that you contested the Reaper, but he would have had to leave this house at some point anyway. And even though he got our Baptiste, I'm fairly confident that our Sigma, our Orisa is probably going to be who he's after. Let's just check that again. So yeah, they know that he's in there. So ultimately, it's not super up to you to chase him, even though it's easy for Junkrat to win these indoor 1v1s. I think it's more valuable to put some pressure down here, down main. And again, from this high ground, you can rotate here. You can rotate main to put pressure on them here, which is a little funny. And you can do here as well. Yeah, ultimately, I don't want to... Like, Overwatch is a very complex game, as you know. And I try not to give just one solution to certain problems. I think a big element of playing Overwatch is being creative. So really coming up with your own play style and choosing like I'm just trying to give you alternatives. That's what I'm saying. To further your own personal development.
Much obliged.
So let's see what else we've got here. So you're positioning close left. This is in anticipation of a flank, but or of them rushing down main from usual. But I think you find an almost insane amount of value with your Orisa, so playing with her is probably your best option here. Again, like we kind of lose if we take a bad fight or if they get on point and are able to defend themselves from our poke. And comboing your mines, not just your mines, but your normal blasts, like your left click with Orisa's pull is, oh my god, it's so juicy. It's so good. So like you should be looking for that not just to charge your ult faster. Well, that's another benefit of it, but you can also kill people extremely quickly with it. So yeah, you're sort of peppering that choke. I guess I actually don't really know why. Well, I do know why. It's because you may think that they're pushing left, despite the fact that they, well, you just can't see that they're pushing main right now. So they opt to go for the same thing before. We probably call that they're pushing right side now, and actually this ends up to be a pretty good position for you, because you can sort of pepper them from stairs. But again, remember that if you were here, you could have rotated top anyway. So basically what they're trying to do here for you is, whatchamacallit, force you guys off of high ground. And that's cool. But it puts them in an interesting spot and it puts us in an interesting spot. Because they can only clear so many high grounds. Like, they cannot access this high ground. This is sort of our safe zone high ground. This one. And currently they've left these ones uncontested. So even though they may have control over this high ground, and I guess this one by extension, they're gonna have to drop onto point because they want to contest point. So no matter what, setting up the multiple angles approach, especially as Junkrat, is going to be your best approach here. So let's move here and look to rotate. So good awareness, pressuring shield up there. Again, if we pull them up there, you can follow up really easily on pulls. I think there's no real need to use the mines up there. Because the enemy has so much control over where they go, it's unlikely that they will get booped onto this point. So you should save your mines instead for whatchamacallit, either halt combos, but keep one for yourself so you can always run if anything goes south. Or so you can rotate to one of the high grounds. Let's see. So we do our thing. Oh, my Discord is like saying hello. That's interesting. We get walled here, and yeah. So this was the panic queue. Oh, unlucky. Man, I totally forgot that could happen. Oh well. So yeah, if you have your ult, and if you plan to use your ult, you should use it with a plan. Or if you're feeling that extreme tendency or that urge to like use your ult, control it and come up with a plan. That's one of the things that's helped me most in Overwatch is impulse control. Like I am as guilty as anybody for being impulsive on some of the decisions that I make and stuff like that. But learning to control those impulses is a really, really big part of play. Because like right now, they're going to try and invest ultimates. We can expect that they've saved their ultimates because they only use like Blizzard for that last push. They're going to have a lot. They're going to use a lot to try and snowball us and win this fight. Tire is an extremely good ultimate to shut things down and make them scared, or at least buy time. So it would have been useful here, but that's sort of being a dead horse. It's unlucky. Oh, and I need to reload my Discord because I need to find out what it was that you'd said about Anubis second. I think it was something along the lines of you play too far away from your team, and let's just see that. So, um, as long as you have line of sight with your healers, I think your position is already pretty decent. Like, on this point, let's think of some of the high grounds that you could hold and be funny on. My cursor has disappeared. That's very cool. There we go. So we have obviously the high ground that you're on now. We have this close high ground, this one as well. You have the widow spot if you want to be funny. There's a whole little area here that's pretty fun. Um, this one here as well. Basically, there's oh, and there's even like I guess this area too by extension. That one. Basically, there's a lot of space for you to mess around with. And DPS are very interesting beasts because, like, I don't know. I'm a support main, but I know what it's like because I was once a Widow main to, like, lock down these sight lines and these angles. And the mere fact that a Junkrat is watching this side really, really deters them from pushing this side because it's super close and Junk has mines, and that's it. That's why we can't go right side. It's dangerous going main because, well, if we take too long, Junk has mines and his normal thing, so we could die. Their best option is probably to go through right side. So in through here, there's like another door here that leads high ground, but we have to be careful pushing out of here because this is a choke that our friend Junkrat can control very easily. So as long as you have sight over the enemy, you can pressure their shields or just pressure them in general. Um, it's you're pretty much almost always in a good spot on this point, as long as you have line of sight with your healers, and you can manually check for that as well. So you can see that they're committing a lot of ults here. They've already used 3. Let's see, so that's wait, that's Grav, that was Shatter. They used Nano as well. They're building beats. They're probably gonna use Reaper ult. Who are we kidding? Yeah, there it is. So they kind of do a number 2. Yeah. Again, this is very good. Like, let's watch from your perspective. So I do appreciate the fact that you're pressuring out the Ana here. That's really good, but that's Kenny's job. So I think you should be focusing on the front line here. You get a lot more ult charge because there are more people close together. And yeah, like Reaper will almost always take the flanks that you like. He's ultimately going to sneak up on people and do things because not only is that like Kenny's playstyle we can observe so far, that is his role and his duty sort of. You guys are both really good at close range pressure and a lot of tank pressure. So because one of you is not pressuring tanks, the other one should be. So let's see, you're on the floor here, you're in front of a Mei. This is kind of scary. I appreciate the fact that you don't back down. Something I'm not seeing a lot of, I guess, is replacing your traps. So replacing your traps in the mid-fight is extremely funny. And I say funny a lot because Junkrat's a funny character. He is hilarious. Because, like, people may know that your trap is in one location. Like, maybe you put your trap right behind here. And your trap is here, but they pass it or something. Then maybe you put your trap, like, somewhere here. They don't know, or they probably haven't looked down to see that your trap is somewhere new, so they will step in it and become isolated just because of the nature of the fight. So, pretty funny. See, a nice little 3k there. Let's see their next engage, and my Discord is really having problems connecting. I wonder why. Please cease, Mr. Discord. Let's go back here. So, any other things here? I forget if we win or lose this. I'm not sure it's entirely relevant, but either way, we're doing a good job holding here and things like that. I would like to see how we use our tire here, though. So yeah, they hoof it down main. Um, I do like the fact that the tire forces out beat from them, but if we're bongoing already, like you are in, or you could be in line of sight of the bongo and just pummel them with your normal left click damage. So it's not entirely. It is a really nice impactful tire because you did take out 1/3 of their team, their Mei and their Ana. Um, but you could have saved it if you like there. It's debatable. Honestly, yeah, I'm gonna say that I do like that tire because it did sort of make the fight completely unwinnable for them. The only thing was that we used Bongo, so we should have gone with one or the other, not both. And man, I wonder again. I wonder again. Let's see. I like that. That's funny. So we'll leave that for now. Yeah, my Discord is just connecting. I wonder what's happening. Maybe the servers are down. Let me check my phone really quick to see if I can pull up your other notes. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I think it might actually legit be something with the Discord servers right now. Maybe. Because, yeah, nothing's really loading for me. Well, that's annoying. In either way, so it was King's Row, it was Anubis, and I think there was a third one. Oh, and I can't even pull up the replay codes. Yippee. Um, I think it was more about like you said you were having a bad hit scan night that night, which is no problem at all. I mean, like that's really there's no pressure about how exactly you're doing in the fight and all the value you're getting and stuff like that. What matters is that you're gelling with the team and you are willing to learn. Like you're in a good place to be adaptable and things like that. And just sit down and learn. It's a good time. So let's see this because I think this might have been a good game to review for some DPS positioning and things like that. So how can I swing this to make this a a different format now that we have, or now that my Wi-Fi has Discord servers, I guess, have grouped themselves. So again, I'm still sort of unclear as to what exactly your hero pool is, but we can look at sort of the roles of both of our DPS in this. So this is a team that I play for. I don't exactly remember. This map wasn't the greatest for us, but it's still worth something because King's Row. So yeah, I want to sort of demonstrate to you that the relevance of DPS and like the real utility of DPS. So not only are they useful, so like you look at Ashe Orisa and it's like, okay, well, what utility can they provide together? Well, dynamite, and usually it's used with pull. No, he's got to wait like 12 seconds, right? Or something like that. Yeah, he started it like a bunch earlier. So yeah, comboing with your tanks. Asking to be set up for success. So can you pull? And then you throw your dynamite above, shoot it, do your thing. Genji can also ask for pull to dash through and things like that. So it's very useful. Now, because they have a pharmacy, our Ashe has a new sort of job, which is to help track the pharmacy and do their thing. Well, our Genji sort of deals with pressuring out people in front, putting pressure on the tank line in front, things like that. Genji is actually quite good. I enjoy this Genji because he we communicate as a support and a DPS well. So this might not be the best screenshot to show, but before when we had, yeah, for that reason. Um, uh, yeah, I don't like this because we're giving up a lot of space to them. I was gonna demonstrate a little something that's like, oh hey guys, DPS are actually kind of like wards for our team. So like obviously our tanks have a nice easy job setting up a front line because they just put their shields down. They put one here, we can put one here, and well there we go guys. Our sort of the space we are said to control. So we'll just draw that as there. And including this high ground. But DPS, if you are positioned somewhere like here with our Sigma, or here on the high grounds, they have to respect you because you're putting pressure or you're keeping somebody in check, you know, depending on who or what exactly your role is. So don't sleep on the fact that you as an individual have a lot of pressure and a lot of presence, I would say. So that's a really, really big part of DPS is like a lot of people are like, oh, DPS is a brain dead role because all you have to do is win 1v1s. But not so. DPS can provide a lot of pressure, a lot of presence, and ultimately they are fraggers. I mean, they're usually the people who are meant to do a lot of damage. Let's see, unfortunate that we lose this fight. Please give my team a good showing. Can't think of any amazing super DPS moments that our team had in this instance or in this map, but I wanted to show a little bit about like DPS positioning, stuff like that. Maybe this was a good map for me on support, but
Now arriving at Lijiang
let's see how it was for a DPS.
ready for battle. Cease your resistance.
So yeah, this is a pretty interesting one for our DPS because we're basically running two dive comps and, well, again, knowing sort of your role. This goes back to the things I was explaining before. Knowing your role. So on heroes like Ashe and McCree and Hanzo and Widow, your job is mostly to like sit somewhere. So because we're blue, like maybe you sit, I don't know, by Dojo. And you apply a constant pressure to anyone going here, here. If you're looking down main, well, the pressure continues. You can go here, can pressure towards point a little bit. If you're up here, like, my gosh, there's just so much pressure that like the one-shot headshot character can put on people, and even sort of their even in Ashe and stuff like that with dynamite and things like that as well. So knowing sort of presence, capitalizing on opportunities, so you can see how our Genji and our Tracer take advantage of this dive from our Winston. And even though our Winston isn't in super great condition, he's not super healthy, the DPS sort of help clean this fight up for us. So yeah, knowing your role, knowing where you should be, what you should be doing, how your character sort of fits into our team comp, and how to use not just your own positioning, but your team with communication, things like that, to achieve a lot of good value. Oh, so that's what happened. He just dashed into mines. Unlucky. So our Tracer is currently fighting off their Tracer on the flank. Well, that's not very climactic, but she's contesting the flank so that our Ana and I can look for picks and to contest the point main. Let's see. Man, if I had more of like DPS carry maps, I would totally share them, but I don't think we have a lot. at least for my team that I play on. That said, though, I'm gonna cap it here. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully this helped a little bit and answered some of your questions towards the specifics of your your DPS play from that one scrimmage. Um, Overall, I'm again a support coach, so I watch and a support main. So mostly I'm watching the tanks and the supports. So DPS is kind of goes by the wayside for me, so I can't provide any super specific commentary as to how we were doing like in general in the scrim because I wasn't watching a lot of the time, honestly. But watching sort of from this micro perspective really helps me gain context and stuff like that, and you as well. So overall, my best tips for you are again, sort of evaluating your role in the team comps, um, finding utility with the rest of your team, asking things like depending on where our focus is, like on King's Row, like do we want to push this Rhine? If so, I can use my wall for that. Or do we want to chase some flanks? If so, maybe we could use my wall for that. Or something like that, you know? As long as there's communication going on, even if it's not the best idea, it's pretty good because people are still on the same page, which is really important. Information is big important. Let's see, so with that, I'm going to end the video. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully this was helpful. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thanks so much and enjoy!